So, look, you all should be able to share this to other people, especially those that may be interested. Uh, we could, we will wait and see how many come on. I know it takes a minute. I feel like I should put some music on. Let me see. Since it might, there's Bobby. Let me see some things that I have watched. Music. So while we wait for others to come on, I will. Someone else just came in. I'm just gonna play this and give it about 10 minutes. I embrace the sacred space. I release the past with love. I step forward right, but heartful begins. I am free. Every moment feels like me. I open, I trust my way. Heartful beginnings guide my day. I am whole, I am strong. Love inside me carries on. With each step my spirit sings. Heartful beginnings bring new. Tender light surrounds my soul. Every challenge makes me whole. I move with kindness, I move with care. Every heartbeat I am aware. I welcome hope, I welcome me. Every step aligns naturally. Heartful beginnings, I am free. Every moment feels like me. I open wide, I trust my way. Heartful beginnings guide my way. I am whole, I am strong. Love inside me carries on. With each step my spirit sings. Heartful beginnings bring new. I am love, I am light, I set my spirit sing. Heart for beginnings, great new. Heart for beginnings. Heart for beginnings. Heart for beginnings. I am not. How many do we have? I am ready. A couple more minutes. Gentle accents from within, warming every place I've been. I feel joy in every breath. Peace and love replace all stress. I welcome every ray I see. In the sunshine guiding me. In the sunshine I am bright. Glowing softly in the light. Every heartbeat feels so free. In the sunshine lives in me. I am open, I am bold. Loving warmth, fill my soul. With each moment I shine through. In the sunshine breaking through. I carry light wherever I go. Calm and steady, gentle flow. Every part is kind and clear. I embrace all I hold dear. I trust my heart, I trust my way. Every step a brighter day. Sunshine, I am bright. Glowing softly in the light. Every heartbeat feels so free. In the sunshine lives in me. I am open, I am bold. Loving warmth, fill my soul. With each moment I shine through. Okay. Sunshine breaking through. I am loved, I am worthy. I release fear, I allow joy. Every cell of me shines, every breath divine. I am present, I am alive. In my sunshine, I am bright. Glowing softly in the I am going to stop sharing this and say, hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Let me see. But I gotta turn it off on my end. Again, welcome to our, oops. No. Okay, let me get back over here. All right, here we are. Oh, we ain't. I don't want this section. Oh, I want this one. All right. I need to open the screen wider. Okay. So it's 9 of us. And it's still good. It's good. It's good. Greetings from His Imperial Majesty the Almighty. Hope we are all doing well, ready for the season. Yes, getting back. Greetings back, ancestors. Yes. I don't know. Oh, somebody else. See? Somebody else is coming in. This morning when I woke up, like 5 a.m., this Bible passage came in my spirit, and it's out of the book Matthew chapter 24. And I'm not going to get into the whole, because this can go really, really, really deep. This goes really, really deep. And I think it came in my spirit because right now, America, with the leadership that they have, is putting its 2 cents in other countries' business, and we shouldn't be there. But there's wars going on. There's wars going on. Literal wars. But it's not anything new. And Matthew 24, and I will share that, Matthew 24, chapter 24. And I'm focusing mainly on verses 6 through 8. And maybe I might go back a little bit. But Matthew chapter 24. And let me see if I can pull it up over here. And I will. And this is basically out of the King James Version. I couldn't share it. And what I want to say first is for a lot of people, me growing up, we take these things literally. But I'm going to take you another level deeper than just the literal meaning of this Bible passage. Because does the Bible work? Yes, the Bible has a lot of knowledge in it, a lot of wisdom, but you have to look at it from a spiritual perspective. Because if we just keep looking at it from the literal standpoint, looking at it literally, it's going to cause us to fall short on our spiritual journey. But in Matthew chapter 24, verses 6 through 8, it says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled." And that's key. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nations shall rise up against nations, kingdoms against kingdoms, and there shall be famine and pestilence, earthquakes, and in diverse places. All these things are the beginning of sorrow. All these things are the beginning of sorrow. But what has happened, people have taken that just literally and fallen into this trap, literally, and not looking at it from a spiritual perspective. And I am going to share my screen with you. And let me pull up my Word document. Let me make sure I got the right one. Let me see. Do I got the right one? Yeah, I got the right one. And I'm going to share this with you because it just made so much more sense. When we open ourselves up, and I want to say this, if you, on this journey, if you're not willing to open up your mind, if you're not, I'm telling you, you're going to live that literally, what it's saying. But looking at it from a spiritual perspective, it all makes so much more sense. Now, which one do I want? Number 2? I think number 2. Yes. Number 2. And Matthew 24:26, okay, I've just read that to you. And the literal layer, the outer world, we know. Historically, the passage says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see that you are not troubled." And that is the key thing. For these things must happen, but the end is not yet. And a lot of people look at that word end and think like it's the end of life. But if you really open yourself and look, life doesn't end. Life has been going on. Look, they say millions of years, thousands and thousands of years. If we open ourselves up and look, life has not ended. Where do you see life ending? And it says that there will be wars and there will be rumors of war. Let's go to the Old Testament. That's thousands upon thousands of years ago. There was wars going on like crazy back then. Look at David. If you look at Esther. is it Esther? Yeah, Esther was even fighting a war. If you look at the prophet Deborah, she was fighting in wars. I mean, if you look throughout history, yeah, there's those outer wars, and it's because egotistical, and I have to say it like this: egotistical men. No offense, but egotistical men who want to be in control. And this is what came to me, that didn't get to live out their childhood, didn't get to play with their toys. So now they're adults and they got these big toys, and now they want to do all this stuff and fight wars and all this stuff. Here in America, and I remember with my son when he was little, we would buy these they call them GI Joe toys, where you buy all these soldiers and tank trucks and all that stuff. And I just feel sometimes that a lot of these adult men did not get to be children and play. And so now they're, as adults, they want to play this game of war and put other people's lives in jeopardy. But one of the key things I'm realizing, I can't allow myself to get caught up in somebody else's drama. I'm not going to allow myself to be pulled into somebody else's drama. So that's the literal aspect of this. This is, on the surface, it acknowledges that human conflict will continue. And there are going to be nations rising. There's going to be fall, and there's going to be power struggles. And history has repeated this cycle for thousands of years. And then if you, again, look at the Old Testament. But one of the key things that it says, do not be troubled. And so that's got to carry some weight. Do not be troubled. You say all these things are going to take place, but then you're telling me don't be troubled by it. So what does that mean? And so here we go. Let's look at this from a spiritual perspective. And you have to remember, yes, we are in this human body, but there's that aspect of us that is spirit, that soul, that which you can't see, the psychological, the thinking aspect of it. So from a psychological inner layer, what about the wars we have within ourselves? Maybe you all don't have them, but I know I've had some. I had one yesterday. I had to call my daughter and just talk to her so I would not find myself over and over repeating and getting upset about something that happened. And it says this insight came about inner wars, which is extremely aligned with many mystical interpretation. If you go back to your ancestors, they understood the conflict that we have on the inside. And what if wars can symbolize conflict between old beliefs and the new awareness? That's why I believe the Bible talks about train up a child when he is young, and when he's old, he will not stray. If we start training children to look, and a lot of countries do this, the Jews do it, the Asian cultures, they do it. They really do it. And even a lot of the Arabic countries teach their young men differently than the Western society. Us over here in England, they teach the young men to be in debt. Go to college, make sure you go to college. We're going to teach you and tell you all these things. And then by the time they become an adult, by the time here in America, those that choose to go to college, nothing wrong with going to college, but you got to make sure you're ready for it. But when you're pressured to go to college, by the time you reach the age 21, when you become a full-blown adult, legal adult to make decisions, you leave college, you're in debt. The Jews don't teach that. The Arabs don't teach that. They don't teach them to be in debt. But that's what's happening over here. And the way they have it set up, and I'll get back to that, the way they have it set up, their system, if you look at President Barack Obama, him and his wife talked about they were finally able to pay off their student loans after they got in the White House. Now that's a lot of debt. They went through all those years paying on student loans, paying on student loans, and paying on student loans. But again, let's get back to this. When we have these inner conflicts from the old beliefs, what they told us, how we had to be this and how we had to do that, until we start opening ourselves up and asking questions and wanting to know what's going on, why, the questions of why, and continue to ask those questions of why. Man tells us not to question, but the Bible says to ask. It said we have this battle between fear and truth, because a lot of the belief systems that were handed down, especially as it relates to to the colonizing, all that fear-based thinking they put into the people and handed us books and said this is the only book you need and this book is going to save your soul. But what has happened all these thousands of years? Has it? I mean, when you really look at it, has the book truly saved you? We're just carrying around a book and quoting some passages in it, and don't even, half the time, most people don't even know what they mean. And it's, again, the wars can be tension between the ego identity and our soul identity. When we were made in the image and after the likeness of God, we became living souls. Living souls, first and foremost. We are made in the image and after the likeness of this universal consciousness. And then that internal struggle doing personal transformation, as you are getting ready to start opening yourself up and say, you know what, I want more. I want to live the life that was promised to me. There's going to be some transformation, and there's going to be some internal struggle. I'm just here to tell you, if anybody it ain't easy peasy. Excuse my little words. I use my little fancy words. It's not easy peasy. We've been taught that if you confess with your mouth and you believe in your heart, then you're going to be saved, and then you're going to go to heaven, and then all these wonderful things are going to happen. And then they're not happening, and then they tell you, well, okay, well, you need to wait. You need to wait for somebody to come and save you. And then so you sit around, you're waiting, and you're watching other people have success. You're watching other people prosper. You're watching, and then you go to those same people that carry the book around all the time and quote the scriptures, and they say, oh, well, you just got to keep waiting. Well, this was my question. This is me personally. Well, if he ain't came in 2,000 years, and it's 2,000 plus years, why? When is he going to come? When? So when you start asking questions, Spirit will start revealing things. It says, in a sense, the message becomes, inner conflict does not mean my life is ending. It means something in me is being reborn. When you start questioning the status quo, those systems that have been put in place, where everybody outside wants to control how you think, how you do this, how you do that. When you start questioning that, that's a process of saying, okay, now I'm open and I'm receptive and I'm ready for something new, because what I've been doing is not working for me. And then what's going to happen, there's going to be this battle between fear, because that fear-based thinking that they gave us, and what the truth is. And the truth is, I am made in the image and after the likeness of God. That's the truth of who I am. And it told me that I have dominion, power, and authority, and that I should go and be fruitful and multiply. And it's not just multiply, going out here having babies and all that stuff. It's multiply in my mindset. Continue to allow my mindset to grow. Continue to affirm the truth of who I am. Continue to think positive. Continue to affirm, again, the firm truth that I am worthy to live a healthy, happy, and prosperous life. But does that mean that those fear thoughts are going to go away? No, they're going to still come. But you still have authority over those fear thoughts. You tell those thoughts, I've let you be in control long enough. I've let you be in the driver's seat long enough. I'm moving in divine authority now. I'm moving in the truth of who I am. I'm not going to let these fearful thoughts continue to keep me in a place where I can't grow. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. You got to think about that. Open your mind. God, if I'm thinking fearful thoughts and lack and limitation, and that the universe is going to give me, you reap what you sow. The universe is going to keep giving me. If I keep thinking about fear, if I keep thinking about lack and limitation, if I keep thinking, woe is me, nobody loves me, nobody cares about me, then that's what you're going to continue to get. As soon as you put your big girl and big boy drop underwear on, pants on, and pull yourself up and start saying, you know what, I don't need nobody to give me and do for me. I've got to change my level of thinking. Do you want to sit and that Bible passage that talks about where the the dogs get fed better? Do you want to be that the man at the pool of Bethesda where you're sitting around waiting for somebody to continue to do something? Even with that, Jesus did not. He did not go and say, poor man by the pool of Bethesda, let me pick you up and let me put you in the pool. Jesus did not put him in the pool. What did he tell him? He said, pick up your bed and walk. We got to pick ourselves up and start affirming the truth of who we are. Nobody's coming to rescue us. I've come to realize that. God will put people in your path that might help you along the way, but we've got to be willing to put in the work. If you're not willing to put in the work, then you're going to be that man by the pool of Bethesda just waiting for somebody to come and save you. And it's not going to happen that way. You're going to keep sitting around waiting because this is what they said. Wait on Jesus to come and he's going to rescue you. But no. And I'm not prejudiced. I don't care if he's white, black, but I don't care what color he is. It don't matter. But I'm not sitting around waiting on a man to come and rescue me and save me. I've stopped. Until thine own self be true. You got to be true to yourself and stop relying on other people to come and rescue you and save you when you got the same power. We all have the same power to create. And that's what life is. I think I shared that with you. What if life, the universe, is all about creation? If you look around, that's what the universe does. It just created all these various things. It created the trees. It created the water, the sun, the moon, all those planets. It created. And then it gave us the ability to create as well. So what are we waiting for? This is what I had to tell. What are you waiting for? And the thing is, I have to, and I'm still working on getting past that fear-based thinking or that unworthy thinking or waiting on somebody to come and save me. Those are the battles that we have on the inside. You have battles in the inside of your mind. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not good enough. I'm living in poverty. I'm living in lack. You keep telling that, rehearsing that over and over. That's all you're going to get. But what if we start learning to trust the process and start affirming the truth? I don't know how you're going to do it. I'm telling you. I got to breathe through this. I have so many times. I got bills up the wazoo. And learning to trust this process. And every time fear-based thinking comes up, I keep affirming, God, you always make a way. Universe, you always make a way for me. And I'm telling you, a way is always made. To be able to do what I do for this group and sending the resources over there, I didn't have it at first. I didn't have it because I was making sure my stuff was taken care of. And lo and behold, this morning, an opportunity came. Spirit showed me what to do, and I did it. And so here we are. Spirit always makes a way, but we got to trust the process, and we got to fight. And it's not so much fight, physical fight or mental fight, but we've got to allow that fear-based thinking to show up and say, no, God, you always make a way. I don't know how you're going to make a way for this situation, but you always make a way. It's change our level of thinking. Not just go read some and quote some Bible passages and you really don't understand what they mean and you're looking at it from a literal standpoint, but going within. God, you always make a way. You said you would supply all my needs. I would continue to affirm that. You said you would supply all my needs and mean it on the inside. You gotta work this stuff. So it's not outside. We got to take a lot of our focus from the outside. Yes, be aware of your surroundings, know what's going on, but don't get so caught up in it. Don't get so troubled by what's going on in the outside world. Worry about what's going on the inside, in here, in your own mind. It says I think I did that one. Inner conflict does not mean my life is ending. It means something is being born. And here's something that's really key too. The next, the verse actually hints at all these things are the beginning of birth pains. Let me go back over. Oh, I can't share it. When it talks about there's going to be wars and rumors of wars, and this is going to happen, and famine and all that stuff. It's not talking about just outside stuff. It's talking about the things that are going to be going on the inside when you make up in your mind that you want to move differently through life. There's going to be a transformation process that has to take place, and it has to take place in here. And if you're not willing to allow that to take place, if you're not willing to look at fear-based thinking, fear-based belief systems, and say, you know what, no more. I'm not allowing these things to get the best of me anymore. I'm going to walk my own journey. Because even if you go into a church and they can have 5,000, 10,000 people in there, no two people are thinking alike. No two people are thinking alike. In a marriage, no two people are thinking alike. This is an individual journey. What did Jesus do? He didn't take his disciples with him all the time. He went off by himself. And this is what we have to do. Individually, you got to make up in your mind, what do you want moving forward in your life? And are you willing to do the work? And again, birth pains are not about death. They are the body preparing for emergence. So spiritually speaking, chaos often precedes consciousness. When things, and I look at that, when things started going crazy in my life, I mean, literally things were crazy. I couldn't understand what was going on. Why was this? Why was that? But all those things made me wake up and start asking questions. Lord, what in the world is going on? Why am I dealing with this? Why am I going through this? And answers and things started coming and showing up that made so much sense to me. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. And here is a spiritual meaning of the end. Man has made it, systems, I'll say systems have made it seem like you're going to be alienated, annihilation. You're gone. You're dead. You're out of here. But the spiritual meaning of the end, and this is a very profound perspective. Spiritually, end rarely means annihilation. The deeper meaning of end is closer to completion. There's a completion of this cycle. When we look at the lunar cycle, there's a completion. When it comes back around, there's been this completion where the new moon comes back around. That's a full cycle of completion, fulfillment. A conclusion, again, a conclusion of a cycle, the finishing of an old structure. I'm ready to get rid of this old way of thinking because it's not working. I'm not following the crowd anymore. I don't follow the crowd anymore. I don't care how many people you got. I don't care how many people jump up and shout, and I don't care about none of that stuff. I refuse to follow the crowd anymore. And in Greek, the language of the New Testament, the concept behind "in" often relates to telos, meaning the fulfillment or purpose being reached. They don't teach us. They don't teach us. I need to promote. They don't teach us that in Scripture when they're teaching in church. They don't teach us that. They make it seem like the end and that's it. You're out of here, God. You're gonna die. Everything is ending. But the Greek meaning is that the fulfillment or purpose being reached. It makes so much sense now. It's like, yes, I might be going through some chaos, but I'm going to stay true to who I truly am. I'm going to look at these situations and say, you know what? It happened. You know, this fear based thinking is there, but I know who I am now. And I'm going to start walking in divine confidence of who I am. You have to do it individually. We have to walk in divine confidence, not arrogance, not thinking we're better. I never think I'm better than nobody, but I do walk in divine confidence, knowing who I am. So, so the teaching could also be heard this way: the conflicts are not the completion of the process, but in other words, transformation is still unfolding. As long as we're in this physical body, there's going to be always this unfolding, this transformation taking place. The more you want to grow spiritually, there's got to be this unfolding, this transformation. You know, I found out some things that I had, belief systems I had as a little girl, and now I'm working through those belief systems as it relates to money. You know, things that things my parents did, and now I'm working through those. You know, through that. So this journey is not about, okay, well, as they say, well, I confess with my mouth and I believe in my heart. Now I'm saved and I don't have no worries because Jesus gonna come and save me. No, that's not how it works. There is constant unfoldment, constantly. The more you, and the only way you don't grow is if you get comfortable where you are. And that's what has happened with a lot of Christians. And I'll say it. That's what's happened with a lot of Christians. And everybody wants to say, hey, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, you know, or I'm Muslim, I'm Muslim, I'm Muslim, I'm Buddhist, you know, all those things. But what has happened is we've taken on these titles or these groups. We found ourselves in these group settings, and their setting is one strict way. This is how it is. But even with that, even with Jewish, you have how many different Jewish groups? You got your strict Jews, you got your this kind of Jew, and you got that kind of Jew. Even when you look at Islam, you've got those that are the Orthodox, where everything covered, just the women, you only see their eyes. Here we got some that they wear whatever they want to wear, and I forget what kind they are, but they. And then with the Christianity, we want to talk about Christian groups. Christianity, it's, oh God, it's thousands upon thousands of variations of Christianity. You got the Baptist, you got the Catholic, you got the Protestant, you got the holiness, you got the non-denominational. I mean, everybody's got their system. And a lot of people, and I was one of them, you know, on this journey, found myself going to one particular, and I can tell this truth. I end up going to the Holiness Church or the Pentecostal Church, where you couldn't do anything. So I thought that me going there, I was this, you know, this good Christian. But my life, I was still miserable. Inside, I was miserable. I did all that stuff that they said, but I was still miserable. And then I seen where control, there was this thing of control coming. And I'm one that after a while is like, hey, something ain't right. So then I left that group and went over here to this Baptist group. And what I seen over there was still control, but then I didn't see any growth. I was just sitting there going through the motions. And then I jumped from over there and I went to this non-denominational, but it was the same thing. And I even went from there to New Thought. And even with New Thought, which is spiritual, supposed to be spiritual, but what I seen there was no growth. There was no growth. So then I went on that individual journey within myself. And here I am. Okay, let's scroll down. Let me see. There it is. Let's scroll down a little bit. And here we go. It says, why religious system emphasize fear? Many institutions interpret this passage as impeding doom. And it is like, there's going to be this doom. You better hurry up and come and get saved because Jesus is coming soon. Y'all know, y'all heard it. But the actual message begins with, don't be troubled. So why should we be afraid if it's saying don't be troubled? Fear-based interpretations often come from a control system and not from the essence of the teaching itself. The original teaching was more like, don't panic when the world becomes unstable. External upheaval does not equal cosmic collapse, and consciousness evolves through disruption. We can't grow consciously just sitting back and waiting. What's going to happen? If you're sitting back and you're not doing anything, you're not using your God-given gift, this here, all this here is a gift where we have the ability to think, where we have the ability to make decisions, where in here we can see visions, and we can create. This is so powerful. But somebody says, no, you sit back and you wait for this man or somebody else to come and tell you what you can and cannot do. And it's just the truth. I don't care if it's who you are, preacher, teacher. It doesn't matter. It's the truth. When you open your eyes and you start seeing things, again, the pattern of awakening. The pattern describes these passages actually universal. There's going to be disturbance. There's going to be confusion. There's going to be conflict. But then there's also going to be birth. This pattern appears everywhere in human growth, in society, in spiritual awakening, even in nature. Even when you look at nature in and of itself, there is an there's disruption. I'll use Hawaii for an example. I can even use some things here. Well, let's go to Noah's Ark. We look at Noah's Ark. The flood came. A lot of things came. The earthquakes come. In Hawaii, they have volcanoes. The rain comes in, the floods, and we've had really bad snow here, and the lakes are frozen over. And then when the ice melts, there's just, sometimes it could be just chaotic in nature. Droughts come. But even though those things may come, something else comes behind that. Even I look at Hawaii, where they had all those volcanoes, and then the eruption of those volcanoes, which did what? After a while, they created more islands. The volcanoes coming from the big island created more. That's why it's all those little islands around Hawaii. But those were started off, it's from where the volcanoes, the eruption of the volcanoes from the big island. And what ended up happening? Life. I'm going to give you this. Even I seen it there when I was there. I seen where in a lot of other cultures where they break up all the leaves and burn up all the dead leaves and all that stuff. And then they spread that as basically fertilizer for the soil, burning up all that old stuff. Even a forest, when you look at forest fires that happen, what still, it burned up a lot, but what ended up happening? Something beautiful emerged. Life started emerging again from all that burnt ash. And that's the same way it can happen within us. Through the chaos in our mind, we can start planting new seeds. We have to, but we have to do it. Just like the earth regenerates itself and goes through the cycles itself, we can go through some hard times, but we don't have to stay there. And this is one of the things that I have to work through when we've got to work through individually. We don't have to stay in the state that we're in. Let's say the potter wants to put you back together again. If there's a crack in the pot, smash it down in the potter's wheel and they start over. We have that opportunity to start over. If we mess up, if we make a mistake, it's like it's just a mistake. We messed up. We don't have to stay in that same state of mind. We can pick ourselves up. I'm gonna here's a little deeper metaphysical reading perspective. When systems of thought begin to collapse within us or in the world, do not assume that everything is ending. It's not. It might be the end of that phase, but then there's the opportunity to plant more seeds, to do more things. And look at that, for whatever reason it ended, that situation, that negative stuff, whatever it was, look at it for what it was and say, you know what, that was not for my highest good. I'm planting something new. I'm going to plant new seeds. I know who I am. I'm better than this. You got to know. Not saying you're better than anybody else, not being arrogant, but I'm better than this situation. And it says, again, what it simply means is old consciousness is finishing its cycle. When some chaos erupts or that fear-based thinking, look at it as old consciousness. I'm not believing that no more. I'm not believing in that no more. It didn't work for me then, so why would it work for me now? That's how I look at things now. If it didn't work for me then, why do I want to hold on to it? Why would you want to hold on to some old thinking that didn't work for you then? It's not working for you now. It's time to try some new things. And the true end would be the completion, and when you look at the completion of ignorance, not the destruction of life. I refuse to be ignorant. And ignorance is not a bad thing. It's just like ignorance just means we didn't know. But once you come into the knowledge of something, you know, that's the end. I didn't understand that stuff before, but now I'm getting a better understanding because I'm asking questions. I'm asking questions. I'm asking the universe questions. Why? And if you open yourself up, the universe always answers. And here's a let me see, a quiet instruction in this passage. And again, it's the most, and this is the most overlooked line in this Bible passage. And it's, again, that you are not troubled. Don't be troubled by the outside wars. Don't even be troubled by the inner side wars. Look at it for what it is. Yes, this is how I feel. I'm battling this feeling of defeat, this feeling of unworthiness, a feeling of lack and limitation. But you know what? I'm not going to be troubled by it. And the reason I'm not going to be troubled by it, because there is another passage that says, I will supply all of your needs. And when we can change our mindset and look at this universe, how abundant this universe is. Again, there's not, you go over there, the mango trees. Is it just one mango on the tree that everybody got to fight for? Is it just one mango? Or is there a lot of mango? Is there on the banana trees? Is there just one banana? No, it's an abundance when you really start looking at it from that perspective. Change your level of thinking and say, God, it's just, we live in an abundant universe. The peanuts, the plants, when you plant seeds, the watermelons, whatever fruit there is, Is it just one? No, there's an abundance. And this is the thing, when you stop and think, God, it is an abundance of everything. But when you start thinking lack and limitation, you only see one, only one mango. It's only one mango, and that's got to be shared with millions of people. No, start changing. This universe is filled with abundance. The fish in the sea. I often wonder, and I'm telling you, here in America, they have these things where it's buffets, where you go and you pay a certain amount of food, and there's just all this food. And I used to wonder, how in the world can they have a buffet and all these people? And because their mindset, they know that the universe is filled with abundance. There's not just lack and limitation. And then you go to some of these other countries, it's chicken. Here in America, it's chicken everywhere, chicken. You can get all kind of chicken. And I used to think my mindset was limited. God, this is my mindset. It's like, God, all this chicken, there's not going to be enough chicken. But what happens with the chickens? The chicken keeps reproducing. It keeps reproducing. The cows keep reproducing. They make the cows. The goats keep reproducing. Everything keeps reproducing. So there's always an abundance. So now we got to change our level of thinking about that. It says, when you look at it, if it means, can we stay centered while the world shakes? Can we observe without absorbing the chaos that's going on? Maintain this inner equilibrium. The Spirit of God is within me. Can I maintain that equilibrium like, God, you always provide? God, you said you would supply every need. These are things that I constantly say. And not just say it, I believe it, and I know. Because there's got to be this, you got to just know. Because if you say, quoting scriptures, let me give you this, looking at God, time is going by fast. But let me give you this passage, this thought. We quote a scripture. How many times have you quoted scriptures? And you just quoted the scripture. God, you said you would supply, but nothing's happening. God's going to make a way. God's going to do this. And you pray and you pray and you pray. Still nothing's happened. And you know why? Because still deep down inside, there's this fear-based thinking that, well, what if I can't have and I'm not good enough? So you're out of alignment. You got this saying this thing with your mouth, but inside you're having this internal conversation of, lack and limitation. I'll never have this. There's not enough to go around. Woe is me, blah, 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 blah. So now there's this, it's not, everything, mine is not equal. Because you're saying this with your mouth, but deep down in your heart, you're feeling a certain way. And then when you look at scripture says, I'm going to give you what's in your heart. So now it's like, if I'm thinking lack and limitation, that's what the universe is going to give. Let me not just speak these words, let me believe it in my heart so everything can be in alignment. Even though it may not manifest right away, but just keep on, because eventually it will manifest. I'm telling you. It doesn't happen overnight. Ain't no instantaneous nothing, but it will happen. Let me see, because I know I may not be able to go over all this. Where should I go? And then it talks about rumors. Why rumors? Why was rumors put in there? This is really, really good. It does not only say wars, it says wars and rumors of wars. That was a loud car going by, motorcycle. And a rumor is not an event. A rumor is, we have speculation in our mind. We have fear-based information. We have secondhand reports, what somebody else says. And we have this anticipation of conflict. It is the mind is reacting before anything actually happens. And so the teaching is acknowledging two different things. There is actual conflict, but then there's this mental disturbance about possible conflict because we go through that. Well, we thinking positive, but then all that fear-based thinking inside says, well, what if it doesn't happen? That's that rumor. What if it doesn't happen? What if I can't? What if I don't make it? What if my idea is wrong? What if I can't? That's rumors. That's a rumor you've created within your own mind, or we've allowed some other body, some other person, secondhand person to say, you know what, if you don't come to Jesus now, then it's going to be too late. And I'm going to leave that one alone. In the psychology of rumors, rumors live in the imagination of the mind. It makes, when you stop and think about this stuff, doesn't it make sense? Rumors live in the imagination of the mind. They are stories about what might happen in our mind, projections into the future. I'll never be anything because somebody else said I would never be anything, so I'm not going to be anything. Emotional reactions to incomplete information. Incomplete information where somebody in some of these systems gave some incomplete information. They gave some partial stories out of and put in a book, and they said you got to take this literally, and so therefore we have emotional reactions to incomplete information, because even when you read the Bible, it never gives you full complete stories. If you read it and if you're open and receptive, you'll see there's never really complete stories. And then what's happening within that, somebody else is telling the story, especially as it relates to Jesus. Because remember, Luke never met Jesus. Mark never Luke and Mark never met Jesus. They were not disciples. They never met Jesus. So they got some secondhand information. Do your research. And the inner, there's this inner spiritual meaning behind this too. If we read the passage inwardly, it becomes more interesting. Inside a person, there can be wars, real internal conflict, where we're battling fear-based thinking. Oh my God, battling fear, saying you can't, and I'm saying yes I can, and I'm like, nope, you're not going to be in control. I see you, but you got to get behind me, because I'm not going to let you be in the driver's seat anymore. And then there's those rumors of war, the mind imagining conflict that hasn't happened. Can you really stop and think how we imagine stuff that has not even happened? Well, what if this should happen? And what if that should happen? Well, what if they say no? Spirit saying, I want you to go over here, or I'm going to use this. Spirit saying, I want you to go get online with the Divine Way Ministry. And somebody can say, girl, you don't want to go over there. That's not Bible. They worshiping the devil, or they doing this, or they doing that. And so now here's these rumors, and now your mind is like, oh yeah, what if they're not really Christian? And what if this, and what if that? So that's rumors. And it's secondhand information. You haven't even got an opportunity to really meet me per se, but you're going by what somebody else say. So you're anticipating something to happen. Oh, she's not of God. She's not this. And I'm quite sure somebody, I know here people have heard it, because I'm rejected a lot here, because you know, but I'm okay with that. And it says again, there's worry about conversations that haven't occurred, fear of outcomes that haven't unfolded, anticipation, rejection before it happens, assuming loss before it appears. So these are rumors of war inside the mind. And the instruction still is, see that you are not troubled by all those negative thoughts that come in your mind. You gotta still affirm the truth of who you are, and keep on affirming, and go by yourself. What Jesus went by himself so many times, during this, during the Lenten season, this 40 days, 40 is a number of a gestation period of growth during this time. We're in day number 16, so we still got some more time to go. And it's like working on ourselves, looking at things, and don't allow imagined conflict to disturb your inner state. When it shows up, it's like, not today. You know, some people say, not today, devil, not today. No, you will not disturb the calm. There's a lady here that always say, you will not disturb the calm peace of my soul. Not today. I refuse. And this is why this matters. Human consciousness often becomes disturbed not by reality itself, by interpretations, speculations, emotional projections. And this is what has happened a lot, especially some other country. Some other country interpreted a book from another country, and then they interpreted, then they came back within that same country where they got the information from, and then they handed them a book and says, hey, this is what you got to go by. This is what we're giving you, and it's going to work for you, and we're going to let us come over here and get all your resources and use your resources. We're going to give you this book, and you wait, and then Jesus going to come, and he going to save you. And you just wait. And when you die, you're going to go to heaven. And then we're going to use your, this is it. We're going to use your resources now. We're going to use all your gold, all your diamonds, all your oil, all the resources, all these rich resources you have here. We're going to use them. We're going to use them. But you take this book and you read it, you study it. And then when you die, you're going to go to heaven, and then you'll get to use some resources in heaven. Y'all make that make sense. Make it make sense. You get to use our resources. We don't get to use them. But you get to use them. You give us a book, and then you tell us to study this book and acknowledge this book and worship this book and become like this book says. And then when we die, then we'll get to enjoy some other resources somewhere else. But we don't get to enjoy our resources now. Make it make sense. Can you make that make sense? So we talked about the birth pain. And this is, I got it highlighted. It said, why is this relevant today? Throughout history, every generation has believed that they were living in the final days because that's what their book said. But the deeper message has always been, do not let chaos, real or imagined, disconnect you from your inner awareness. And that inner awareness should be, I am made in the image and after the likeness of God. And you said that you would supply every need. You said there was no good thing you would withhold from me. I'm going to use their book. And because if this is the truth, then this should be happening for us. The instruction is not about predicting doom. No, those instructions were not. It's about maintaining consciousness during the chaotic times. Jesus said, in this world, you're going to have trouble. In this world, there's stuff is just going to show up. Life going to be lifing. Stuff going to happen. Look at the universe in and of itself. The rain comes, there's floods, there's earthquakes, there's just a lot of stuff going on. But does the universe stop doing what it does? Does it stop its cycle? Does the earth stop rotating? No, it doesn't. And we shouldn't either. When chaos appears, and like I said, I'm talking to myself right now. Dorothy, when the chaos appears, don't let it get the best of you. Continue to affirm the truth of who you are. Continue to affirm. Again, there's going to be conflict in the world. Stories about conflict are going to circulate. Fear is going to spread through speculation. Systems are going to shake. But the instructions remain the same. Stay awake. Stay steady. Do not let your inner world collapse because the outer world is turbulent. And I hope that makes sense. And I think I'm going to leave that right there. Do not let your inner world collapse because the outer world or speculations from somebody else or what somebody else said or believed. You don't even have to believe nothing I said. I'm just sharing. I say I'm sharing my journey, my perspective on this journey I'm on. I made a commitment to God, the Spirit within, that I would share. It asked me to share my journey, so I'm sharing my journey. I do my research to the best of my ability. There's always something to learn. There's never any time to sit around and just keep repeating something in the book year after year. The same story. And that's something that used to get on my nerves too. It made me start questioning why every year it's the same story. Around Christmas it's the same story. Around Easter it's always the same story as it relates to this man coming to save us. Every year, if you go to any church, they're all doing the same story. Same story. And I could never understand that either. It just didn't make, things just don't make sense and nothing's changing. Why are we doing the Easter and what, the palms and all these things? If I go to a church and visit a church and they got the palm branches, I don't take them, because it's like, why? I've seen people, they just walking around fanning the little palm branches. Hosanna, Hosanna, Hosanna. And what has changed? What about that has made your life change? Any questions? Where? Tucson. I'm going to stop sharing
I
this.
don't have any question, but
Does anybody else have anything? Hope everything is aligned well on your side. Everything is aligned today on my side. It was out of alignment a little bit yesterday, but I got it back. I got it back. The chaos, I got my peace back. I'll put it that way. So again, I'll share. I did do the YouTube video with this, and again, it's up to you individually. If it's something resonates, we call them. If there's something, a golden nugget that comes, you take it and you run with it. But I say this. This is Spirit is asking me to share this. Even if you don't understand a lot of stuff at this moment, don't disregard it. Because what we're doing, and I had to realize this as well, what we're doing, we're not trying to feed the mind. We're trying to refeed the soul information. Because the soul is hungry. The soul is ready to come back to the forefront. So it may not resonate to the mind, but it will resonate with your soul. So always remain open to just taking it in, but not, if you can't process it, if it doesn't make sense at this moment, don't worry about it. Because somewhere down the road, I used to read a lot and take in a lot of information that didn't make sense to me. But somewhere down the road, things started making sense. It's like, oh God, now that makes sense. So never disregard the information. Remember, you're refeeding your soul. You're opening yourself up to feed the soul. So with that being said, until the next time, the 22nd, yep, on the 22nd, we shall return. And which is interesting with that one, we will be in the cycle of the new moon, because the new moon is on the 18th. And so it's like planting those seeds. Remember, everything moves in cycles. So what seeds come the 18th are you ready to plant for yourself? Start thinking about, what is it I want moving forward? Am I ready to really be in alignment with the truth of who I am. And that's it. Have a wonderful night, you guys. Till I see you on the 22nd. And
Okay.
I will send that information over if you wanna. I'm gonna put it in Zoom, but there's the whole printout. I will send that and put it in the group text as well. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Good
okay.
night.
Thank you for today and have a good day.
All right. Thank you.